Okay, my clock says 11 o'clock. If you have not signed in on the chat, go ahead and do that. Just your name and the library that you're representing. That would be wonderful because then we can kind of keep track of who's coming. To start out with, is there anything that anybody would like to bring to the committee in public comments? There never is, but maybe you will be warmed up by the time we get down to other at the bottom once we get through this. So my very first thing is want to give a good sincere shout out to Meredith McCarthy, who has served on the circulation committee for many years and has been such a big part of the circulation community. She's not like gone, but she's had to step back from the circulation committee. And so in her place, we want to welcome Karen Jones, also from Jefferson County. And so you will find her name and email on the bottom of this agenda, and Ron has already updated her on the website. So welcome to Karen. We're happy that she's aboard.
Hello, everyone.
Yay. So there she is. We can't see her face, but we heard her voice. So anyway, going on to B, we have one more of the first series of circulation refresh trainings coming up. It will be Tuesday, September 12th at Livingston County Library, and that is located in Chillicothe. If it's not too late to sign up, but if you're considering it, get that reservation in so that we have time to do, so Sue has time to do the catering lunch thing. Otherwise, I suspect at all of these, we've always had more than enough food. That has never been the problem. So I imagine even if it came in at the last day, we could kind of adjust. But if you're thinking about coming, go ahead and get signed up. If you have questions, feel free to email or call me. We will be happy to see you. So, all right. I saw going through on the listserv, Diane, I don't know, you were talking with who on this for the default hold pickup location?
It was me, I think.
Who's that saying me?
Darcy Humphrey.
Darcy, okay.
Yeah, I think it was me, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yes.
Well, anyway, I think it's a wonderful idea because you have to remember as you're going down filling out that form for new patrons, it's not required. It's one of those that's easy to just kind of blow right past. And so this is a bug that you can add heat to that would make that a default hold pickup location a required field. So it would turn it would turn yellow on your thing. You would have to fill something in there to go further. So I've included the bug that Diane sent to me. So if you think that would be a great idea, get on there and add some heat. There are instructions for how to create an account and add heat on the right side of our website, kind of down toward the bottom. There's just a description of how to go about doing that. So if you have questions, again, contact me. I think it's pretty self-explanatory right there on that first page of our website.
And just to clarify that if this feature were added to Evergreen, you would not have to make it a required field for your library if you don't want to, but you at least have the option to make it a required field. And it's an issue with Scenic, at least with our special relationship with Washington Public Library. If you probably don't want to hear the whole explanation, but if somebody lives in the Scenic district, we would put their home library as a Scenic branch, but they really want to pick up their materials in Washington. And if there's nothing in that field, then the holds pickup location will default to their home library. So they'll have to come out to Union when they didn't want to come out to Union, blah, blah, blah. So it would just be nice to have that as an option, but it wouldn't be something that would just go across the board to every library in the consortium.
Well, and my concern, the reason I brought it up is because it used to automatically populate based on where they were signing up. And I'm just concerned that somewhere in the future we'll have an evergreen version upgrade and something will break in the background and we'll have a ton of patrons that don't have that chosen and it'll try to send them to scenic or something. I know that sounds ridiculous, but
Well, it's also just helpful if you're a multi-branch system. We have multiple patrons in Cass County that sign up for their library card at one branch, but they want to, because of maybe where they work or whatever, they want to pick up things at a different branch. And so it's great for a multi-branch system also. Okay. Recently, there was some discussion, just a little bit of discussion on the listserv about damaged items between libraries. And we all wish it didn't happen. But sometimes my patron, Cass County patron, is damaging something for you, vice versa. The other way, handling those kinds of things takes communication between libraries. Communication is key on this. So I am, and also cooperation back and forth. So because I am not able to mark your items damaged, if my patron damages them, I need to be, or I should be, we would like you to be, however you want to say that, either calling or emailing the circulation contact at the bare minimum to deal with the situation back and forth so that you can mark your patrons, your items damaged. When you do that, that will bill my patron the appropriate amount. And we're using, Diane, how do you say that? Use the system, use the system to allow you to do that as opposed to putting a grocery bill on somebody else's patron's account. So if you do not have your, I've run into a library or two that do not have their billing things set up correctly. You can work with Equinox to do that. I think it's under server administration. So you would go into administration and server administration, and that's where you can put in what in a drop down, what things you want to bill for. So damaged, missing, we have copies on ours, different things that you can put in there. So I believe it's under server administration. Equinox would be more than happy to help you get that set up if you don't have it set up. When you are billing, it's always a good idea there's a place on there to kind of annotate what is wrong with the item. It's going to take you 5 or 10 seconds at the max to just put in there liquid damage. Corner of the book was chewed, whatever it is. And so then when it bills my patron, there's a record on it when we go in to look at the bill. So depending upon the price at Cass County, it could be a while before they pay for this item. So if it's 2 years from now, at least I'll have some kind of little reference on there. Here's the book. This was what was wrong with it. Does that make sense? Just go ahead and put that little annotation on there. It will be helpful to me. It will be helpful the other way too. Occasionally, go ahead.
I had a question. Maybe you're going to go into this, but sometimes we charge our patrons if the kids rip off the spine label or the kids rip off the barcode. There's $1 charge for that. Well, let's say it was our book at your place. It comes back without the barcode. Typically here, we do make a grocery bill. right? Because, well, it's damaged. Actually, it's a description of damaged. But I think it appears as a grocery bill, but as long as we annotate it and make those notes really clear, then I'm trying to figure that out. How would I do that? How would I charge your patron that $1? I'd have to call and say, this book, the spine label was ripped off of it. We need to charge. So I'll call you, Rhonda, and say, hey, this is what happened. Would you please put $1 on there of damage, right? Is that the
Right.
proper?
Something like that would be better in a case like that, as opposed to it's missing a piece and you're billing for the whole thing, or
Exactly.
the item itself is totally damaged and you're going to be taking it out of the
Right. Circulation or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
circulation committee. Do you agree with that, or can you think of anything that would be better?
No, I agree with that, the owning library should call the borrowing library and say, this happened to the item. It's not totally damaged, but we are going to charge you. We're going to charge your library for this. You can put a bill on your patron's account if you want to. And then let me put a bill on the patron's account and me contact my patron to tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
Right, I agree. And I think if you do a damage, then in most cases, depending on your library settings, isn't it going to bill for the full amount? Or is there a way to edit
There's
that at
a
that
there's
point?
a
So-
description as if you're just creating a bill, you can choose damaged. You get the bill for the full charge if you are on the item.
Okay,
You mark it damaged,
Right.
that's when it bills the full amount. But if you are just creating a bill, one of your choices can be damage as the description. And
What
then you put
she's-
the amount.
You can also, at least on Cass County, you can edit the amount that the patron is, or that is going to be billed for damage. So I don't know if everybody is set up that way or not, but
Right.
let's say your item was $25. What we had when we moved over from Searcy, some of our things didn't come over right. So it comes over with 2501. Anytime we see 2501, we know that it was done incorrectly. So we have to go and look in that item record to find out what the price was. And you can't, at least in Cass County, you can edit that amount.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You can edit the amount on ours as well. We chose to have Equinox populate that field with the price plus our processing fee, but you can always edit. The reason we chose that was because we don't typically want the book to be marked as damaged unless it's a loss for us. If it's not
Right.
a loss, we do like what Terry said, where we just do the grocery bill.
Yeah.
But in that case, you would be calling me and say, put this bill on your patron's account. Don't let the owning library put the bill on that account.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
We
I
kind of
have-
were talking about that. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
I just have a question. Obviously, hi, everybody. I'm from Cape Girardeau. Obviously, we just joined, so I don't quite understand the process. So please forgive me for asking this question. But so does that mean that if we loan one of our materials out and it's damaged by one of your patrons, that you all would then bill our patron through the system as opposed to sending you an invoice saying, hey, this item came back damaged? Or what is the process?
It's kind of like a two-step process, I think. So if my Cass County patron damaged one of your items, I would call you to let you know and let you mark it damaged, which would then bill my patron. At the same time, I would be giving you information of, okay, this is where to send the invoice. This is who to send it to. And at least in Cass County, then I'd be notifying tech services, please expect this, there's going to be an invoice coming from this. So it's just not out of the blue. And then you would, on whatever billing schedule you're on, send the invoice to Cass County. Does that make sense?
But your
Yeah.
patron, Katie, pays the bill at your place. They pay for the book. And then you're reimbursed. The library's reimbursed, kind of, I don't know if that's the right word, but
Well, and I guess that was my concern because we also have a unique relationship, like Diane was mentioning, we have a unique relationship with Riverside. And so part of that we've discovered is that we cannot accept payment for another library's bill. And so that's why
Right.
I was super confused as to what the process was, but that makes more sense that
Okay.
you still bill the patron, but the libraries are paying each other.
yes.
And that way you don't have to forward patron money from library to
Right.
library. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It gets easier the longer you've done it. When I first started doing this job, I read the instructions in our procedure manual every single time I did it. And, unfortunately, I mean, it doesn't happen all that often, but unfortunately now I don't have to read those instructions anymore. So occasionally libraries, still on the same topic, occasionally libraries will look at the item record and say, okay, this item, it came into the system in, I don't know, 2008. It's been checked out 60 times. It's to the end of its life anyway. It just happened to die when my patron had it. And so there is also that opportunity for libraries, if they're not going to replace it, it was time to weed it anyway, that we don't bill somebody for it. But that again is at your discretion. The other thing I would encourage, especially like for Katie, I know maybe Tammy may be on from Nevada coming on here the 31st. We're not going to bill for normal wear and tear. Things get passed back and forth between libraries through the courier, but just even in your own library, there's normal wear and tear. And so there is a document on the circulation training page that gives some guidance on what is normal wear and tear and what is billable damage. So if you have questions, go look at that document. It's called the Damaged Items Best Practices. So questions?
Well, we were kind of talking before the meeting started that it is possible for one library to add grocery bills to another library's patron. I wonder if that's something we could ask Equinox about and see if that's really supposed to be possible. I haven't seen it too often, but I have seen it, and it kind of recently that, and it wasn't anybody's being malicious. It was just somebody added a bill to one of my patrons' accounts. And I don't know why that bill's there. The patron won't know.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't seem like it should be something that should be allowed through the ILS.
That happened to us too, Diane. I actually checked my email when I was on vacation and saw an email from another library. And so I called our library and I said, quick, put a note on this patron's account, that they didn't do it, and I'll delete the fine when I get back.
Yeah, we don't want our patrons calling. I don't want my patron to call Cass County and say, I know I've used up all my renewals, but will you renew it anyway? Then we're not supposed to have that kind of contact. We don't change
Right,
each
exactly.
other's addresses on our patron accounts. We really shouldn't touch somebody else's patron account.
Right. Diane, do you want to, I've already got 2 pending things with Equinox going.
I will write to them and ask
Okay,
about
that'd
that.
be great. Thank you. Okay. Recently also, I just keep picking these things off of the listserv as they come through. There was a potentially fake or bootleg DVD circulating. Kate, you might know, you might be the better one to speak to this.
The cataloging committee did write, and the board accepted a media piracy policy at the end of 2022. And we have since, had the opportunity to enforce it. And essentially, we know that people are not adding bootleg things to the catalog on purpose. I mean, but please keep in mind that just because you can buy it on Amazon or even Walmart, because they now allow third-party sellers, that does not mean that it's a legal copy. There we have on both the, I think the CERC training materials page also has our how to spot a bootleg document on it, but there's some things to kind of look at. You want to look at, you know, some things make it very obvious, you know, if things are misspelled, if it looks like the cover is a copy of, you know, something, you know, alarm bells should be going off. But one of the things that we as a cataloging committee, we look at when we're researching if something is bootleg or not, is if the studio has ever legitimately released this for home viewing. And I will tell you that with streaming services, this is going to become a lot more prevalent. Everything that we have found that has errantly been put in our catalog and has since needed to be removed has been a streaming service, you know, TV show or something like that. They're not going to be releasing stuff, you know, especially the stuff that makes them a lot of money. They're not going to be releasing that stuff onto a physical item that your library can then buy, unfortunately. So I will say that it's not super prevalent, but if you're buying from Amazon and you notice that there are no avenues to buy it that say provided by Amazon, you know, even if it's a third party, sometimes it's still fulfilled by Amazon, and it says that. Now, if you come across a title and you can't find one single place that says fulfilled by Amazon, that should give you pause, and you need to go and do a second step of research and see if that studio ever released that, you know, as a physical material.
Okay, so let's say something comes across my CERC desk, because this is probably where we're going to notice it. Kate, would you say the correct procedure would be to pass it on to your library's cataloger or to send it to this cataloging committee?
Well, the first thing I would do if you are suspicious that it is bootleg potentially, please check it out to a maintenance card or something like that. We don't want it fulfilling holds while the powers that be research it. And then you could give it to your cataloger. As far as the physical item, the thing that we're most concerned about is that it's not out there getting checked out and fulfilling holds. But then it will somehow that information needs to make its way to the cataloging committee, Cat Help at moevergreenlibraries.org. And then we have a procedure that we do to determine whether or not it's bootleg or not. And if it's not, awesome, we'll just give it back to you guys. And if it is, then we have a procedure on, you know, it can be, you know, the library can argue if they do think that it is, you know, and we're giving everybody a fair shake, of course, you know, but again, we all know that nobody's purposefully putting these in the catalog, but we do want to have a kosher procedure where everybody's satisfied with the outcome of it. But ultimately, we just want the item off the shelves while we are determining that, and then the cataloging committee will contact both the cataloger and the library's director so that we can get it taken care of.
So if this item already has 10 holds on it, what happens at that point?
And I'll be honest, like I said, a lot of this stuff is very popular things that, so that has been the case where there have been holds on it, and it will be the responsibility of the libraries that had holdings on them to, you know, take care of these holds, contact the patrons. However, you know, that's all CERC stuff that I'm just like, you guys know what to do. But the cataloging committee certainly is not going to get in on the hold situation, but if there are hold, obviously the library that owns the item, when they are deleting that item from the catalog because it has been determined that it's pirated, then they should, those libraries should be taking care of those holds, whether it's, calling the patron saying, hey, this is no longer available, or however you guys do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Questions on any of what Kate has shared? All right, I think Steve is maybe on this call. He sent out an email just a few days ago about a meeting that he wants to have. Steve, are you on the call?
I am on the call. I had to get my microphone back around to my face, so sorry
Oh,
about
there you
that.
go. Can you go ahead and give a little bit of background and what you're hoping to accomplish with this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been doing, and certainly some of the folks have seen me out at your libraries. I mean, not a lot, but I have been able to get out to a couple of libraries. And I'm just interested in being able to make connection with people in terms of Evergreen and finding out what we're doing well and how we can improve and all of that. And certainly rather than spending a lot of time driving for quick 5-minute meetings, I thought that if I could establish a 45-minute meeting once a month, that people could just come and ask me any questions they have. There's no agenda at the meeting so far. Just the idea is that I'm here for 45 minutes. Anyone who is working at an Evergreen library, a Missouri Evergreen library, is welcome to attend. So doesn't have to be anybody in management. It could be anybody, and they're welcome to attend and ask me questions. And I will probably 90% of the time say, I don't know. I'll have to get back with you. But it sure was nice meeting you, and just open up communications amongst the consortium. So we're going to start doing that. I think it's next Monday, I think is the first one that we're doing it. And then every Monday, like I said, it's about 45 minutes long. If it ends up that there is more interest than there is time to have conversations, we may move it, we may make it longer, we may have additional meetings. So that's the plan. Can I answer any questions?
Will you send an invite out for that?
Yeah, it's actually on the calendar right now. And so you can pick up the link off of the shared meeting calendar. But yeah, I mean, I could send a meeting announcement out to the full list.
I don't think I've ever seen the calendar, so.
Okay, well, maybe I should send a link to the full calendar too. so people can see, so people can see the calendar list. So.
Hey, any other questions for Steve?
That just kind of reminded me, Rhonda, just speaking here, putting on my board member's hat now for a minute. The board, we are using that calendar very heavily. All of our meetings are on that. We might not send a email out to the listserv for every single meeting. So bookmark that calendar and use it and see. I mean, of course, Steve, he announced that he was doing this. It was a new meeting, and so we all kind of, we're not ever going to surprise you with brand new meetings and not tell you or anything, but all of our reoccurring meetings are on that calendar and we are using it heavily. So check it out.
Okay, I am going to try and share my screen here. All right, so this is the part down here under old business. What I wanted to just find out is how, if anybody was having questions or problems with deleting our long expired patron accounts. That sounds great. I had one request that was made to me, and I forget which library it was. Apparently, they use they use groups, patron groups. So there's a group lead account associated with that group. And they realized that some of the group lead accounts were actually what were being, had not been renewed because the parent was using the child's account all the time. So they wondered if by chance there was a way we could add in a group lead field. And so I contacted Equinox. They were able to do that. And so the new name of the field of the report or template, I guess is really the better way, template is in bold there. It's located in the same place that the original template was that we placed there. So if you use a group lead account and you want that information before you decide I want to delete this patron or that patron, use this one instead. We think Cass County does not use group leads, but I had one library kind of test it for me and they seemed to think that it was working fine. If you use group leads, if you would be willing to test this and see if it works and let me know. Equinox wants the final, do we need to tweak this anymore? So if you find any kind of problem with this, respond to me so that we can get it fixed with Equinox. So this report contains all of the same fields that the original template had that was sent out with the instructions. Basically, the instructions are still exactly the same. It's just you are going to be able to see if somebody is a group lead account and then choose not to delete them if that's what you wish. So is that clear as mud?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Sure.
I either did not receive or more likely have lost the email with the instructions. I'm pretty sure I've just lost it. Is there a way that I can get that resent?
Yes, and eventually,
Okay.
yes, I will send that to you. And this is Darcy, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I will send that to you. We're wanting to get it put on the website.
Well, and
just-
that's what I thought, because I thought, well, maybe they didn't send it, because I kept checking the website thinking it would appear there, and then you were talking about the email, and I was like, oh, I think I've lost that.
Okay, well, is there anybody else? Should I just send it out one more time? Should I send it to everybody, I guess is the question.
I don't think that would hurt a thing.
Okay, I'll just send it to the whole CERC list then. And I also include kind of in the email that goes with it, I'll include this new report. It's like I say, it's in the same place. And that way, if you group your patrons, you would be able to choose that report instead of the original report. Okay. Any other things that we would like to discuss today?
I don't know if this is the right place to say this, but I love that email we just barely got before the meeting started from Steve about the thinking about outside the box really of why we do the things we do. And I think I personally complicate my life a lot by just doing things because that's the way I was trained 15 or 16 years ago. And they actually have, no foundation. And so I think Evergreen is easy now to me. It's been a little while, but it's easy. And I've tried to make it as hard as the other system was that we came from. I won't say the name of it, but so I just really appreciate that email. It just really opened my eyes and I liked it. I just wanted to say something about that. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it yet, but it's awesome.
Okay, anybody else?
Rhonda, is I don't know how anybody else does it, but when we have the courier books, does anybody keep track of their pull lists to see like what books have come back or don't come back? Because I have a few that I probably need to call the libraries because they've marked them lost. And so I don't know if I need to like bill them for those that are lost, or if I need to just write them off, or how do we go about that process?
So I'm not 100% sure that I tracked exactly what you're saying. So you sent them through the courier. They were
The-
on somebody's
Yeah.
hold shelf.
Mhm.
Were they
Yeah.
ever checked out?
Yeah, they were checked out, and then as I've went back through and I just kind of keep track of where my books are, they were eventually marked lost by the other library that had them, that their patron was through. So I never heard any more about it, and I thought, well, I might call and find out, or I didn't know how that process really went.
I can weigh in on that. It may not be the library that's marking it lost. For example, our items, if they stay checked out, go to lost after a certain period of time. So I would assume that yes, you can bill for them. Now, Rhonda, we have a certain amount of time where we recommend you don't bill for that. Is that correct?
I think on lost items, the recommended amount of time was 6 months, just to make sure that it really is lost. Because once money has gone back and forth between libraries, it's a done deal at that point. And so that's why, I mean, we're trying to give that little buffer there to make sure, because we've all had something, oh, it's lost, we've marked it lost, and then a week and a half later, oh, look what I found.
Yeah.
So,
We actually had one of the Auto Plaza that's in Kirksville call us the other day because a patron had left their book there, and they're like, I think this is yours. And we'd marked it lost because she'd already paid for it and everything. And it was kind of funny how that worked out.
It's at Scenic. I run a report every quarter to find lost things and give a list of those things to the business office, and then she sends out bills. But they do have to be 6 months because we're not going to refund between libraries. So we do it quarterly. And we don't really, I was going to say because of the volume, I don't do it every month, but really, even quarterly, we don't have that many that have not showed up for 6 months. But that's what I do. I run a report of items in lost status.
I just had a weird thought though. We use a debt collect agency. I don't know if everybody does or not, but so if I have a patron who has 3 things checked out, 1 of mine and 2 of yours, and they don't return any of them, and they eventually are charged for all 3 of the items, they do go to lost, right? The system automatically charges them, even though 2 are not mine. And then the debt collect fee gets added on top of that. I'm just thinking about that process. They're going to pay the whole bill here. I don't remember ever getting an invoice from you saying, do you see what I'm saying? About those lost books. I get damaged invoices, but I don't remember getting a lost invoice from anybody.
Carrie, I'll tell you, Poplar Bluff does not send invoices for lost items. We just call it the price of business. So not every library may send invoices for lost items.
We don't either, obviously. I would know that. I have never sent you guys an invoice for a lost thing. So I never thought about it before.
Yeah, we're glad to pay all of the bills you guys send us. Where I don't have the time to bill you.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Okay, good. Yeah, that's cool.
So I think your library it's great if you do, like Diane says, she runs a report. I think that's totally legit. It's also great if you have decided, okay, just like Belinda said, that is just part of the price of being able to get the tremendous value that we get from resource sharing. So I don't feel like it's necessarily a right or wrong. It's a procedure that your library is gonna determine.
Can I ask those who don't charge other Evergreen libraries when the patron loses an item, do you charge your own patrons when they lose items?
Yeah.
Yes, Diane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I charge, I just don't, if it's the library paying me money, and what will happen is if you send us an invoice for something, or request an invoice, my circulation person will make an invoice for you. And we do charge our patrons if things go to lost. It's just like Diane, or like Rhonda said, for us, it's just the cost of doing business of we get more out of what we get from you guys. So we're not gonna fiddle over $25, $30 every once in a while.
We have not in the past run the report that Diane runs, but because of we've intended to and we just never have gotten around to it. But now we've had some bookkeeping changes and we are going to start, I believe. However, when we run it the first time, anything that's like 6 months or older, like that we haven't billed for, we're not going to go back to like, 2013 and be like, listen, you lost our book. And so we intend to, but we're kind of on the same page where we just haven't had the wherewithal before now to really bother about it unless a library contacts us and says, hey, here's this specific book that your patron lost or that our patron lost.
I will say for Cass County, the different, there's lost and lost, I guess. If somebody comes in and says, I lost this book, I left it on the airplane, it's in Miami somewhere, I've called, I can't get it back, and it belongs to one of you. If they're coming in and telling me right then that they've lost it, I'm going to be contacting you to let you know. So that's one kind of lost in my mind. And then there's the other kind of lost in my mind, like that we're talking about now, where it has aged into lost, I guess, status. They've had it so long, it's gone to lost. So that's, I don't know, maybe it's splitting hairs, but to me, it's kind of two different things. So.
Another question, so obviously we have received our training from Equinox, fine and dandy, but are there training manuals, links, something that provide all the information that Missouri Evergreen does and best practices of, for instance, like running the report that Diane was talking about quarterly, or calling the other libraries to say, hey, this item is lost? How do we know what to do in those situations? Where does that information live?
Okay, they're on the website. Scenic has shared part of their procedure manual. I can, Katie, I can send you a copy of Cass County. Again, they're going to be directed to how our libraries would do or handle those things. But that might give you a starting place to kind of look at those two possibly and see, I don't know, see what would work for you, what makes sense for you guys. I don't know. The other place that you can go is on the Missouri Evergreen website. When you first when you log in the morning, there's that page that has the three. Well, anyway, on the right, there's Equinox documentation. And so you can click into that, get to 3.9, which is what we are on right now. And almost anything that you would want to know how to do is documented there. So there's circulation, there's cataloging, there's acquisitions, there's all kinds of different step-by-step things. So that would be another place that you could go. In February, by the way, we will be, I believe, moving to 3.11. So I know before we get to February, I at least am going to be reading through the 3.11 documentation to see what is changing between 3.9 and 3.11, because we're making that jump over 3.10. So
And we do want to create a Missouri Evergreen circulation manual. I kind of got a start on it before I had to go in and fill in as a branch manager. So now I'm trying to get back into my own job again. So maybe sometime in the future, there will be a Missouri Evergreen manual all in one place. So it's not look at this document, look at that document. If it can be all in one place and it doesn't have scenic specific things or Cass
Right.
County specific things in it.
Okay, anything else? All right, well, if not, I want everybody to have a great day. Hopefully, we're all getting back into shape after summer reading is over. I don't know, we're still kind of inundated with lots of things coming back, but anyway, have a great day and we'll talk again next month.